Hope you enjoyed this blendy bedroom set makeover. I started off with an 80 grit sandpaper and then switched to a 120. I wanted the wood to still be open enough to accept the stain. One of the most important steps in prepping your piece is cleaning it to make sure any dirt and grime are off. Here I'm just using white lightning, spraying it on, scrubbing my piece with a green scrubby pad, then spritzing it with water and wiping that back with a lint-free paper towel to ensure all the TSP residue is gone from the white lightning. If you have a buildup of dirt in the cracks and crevices, you can just use a toothbrush to clean that out as well. The next step in the process is just determining whether or not you need to prime. Here I'm using bonding boss to block the tannins in the wood from bleeding through since this is oak. I did apply 2 coats. I waited about 2 hours after the first coat and then applied the second coat. At that point, you want to wait 24 hours before you begin painting to allow the primer to set up and dry thoroughly. If you're painting a wood that is a heavy bleeder or you're painting a very slick surface, you don't want to skip this step. For the first blended layer, I'm mainly just laying out my colors here to know where I want my shading and shadowing. I am using 2 colors that are pretty far apart on the spectrum. I've got chocolate for my dark color, and then I'm using magnolia from the new Southern Roots collection by Dixie Belle Paint Company for my lighter color. Since chocolate is my dominant color because it's the darker color, I'm applying a very small amount using an art brush. I'm using an oval small brush to apply the magnolia. And then for my blending brush, which I don't put paint on again, is the mini. You do want a nice synthetic brush with flowy bristles to really transition the paint smoothly and bring those colors together. On this second layer, I wanted to darken it up a little bit. I didn't have quite enough chocolate on here, so I did switch from the art brush to a round small brush so I could get a little bit more of that chocolate and increase the shading here. I do use quite a bit more water from the mister bottle to keep my paint from drying too quickly and give myself a little more work time to bring those colors together. I'm also, as I'm going along, because I have more water on my mini as I'm blending, I'm continuously wiping it off on a lint-free paper towel to kind of remove any excess paint that the brush has accumulated. After my paint has dried for about a minimum of 2 hours, typically I really like to wait overnight, I will do a clear coat protectant here. Unfortunately, I did forget to video that step. For my first step on the detail work, as well as just the beginning of adding some depth and dimension to this piece, some extra interest, I'm using coffee bean and a synthetic chip brush by Dixie Belle Paint Company. I'm wiping all the paint back and ensuring that the paint kind of smears up the bristles so that all I have to do is lay the brush down on the edges and kind of drag it across. It'll create a nice lined out, almost a distressed look. But like I said, that's the first step in creating the depth here. One thing that I typically do is use the satin clear coat because it's not quite as porous as the flat clear coat, so the paint I'm adding here doesn't quite sink in. If I make a mistake, it does allow me to wipe it back, and that's what you see me doing here with the baby wipe, just wiping back some of the excess coffee bean that I don't want to show here. After this step, I added my second coat of clear coat, and again, I did not video that process. I am so sorry. But once that satin clear coat has set up for about 24 hours, I'm ready to finish up any detail work that I want to do. I wanted to soften up my blends a little bit and really add some more depth and dimension with this shadowing. So I'm using the Bestang wax in brown and black. I wanted to neutralize the reddish undertones in the brown, so I mixed an equal amount of each to create a coffee bean-like color. I applied it into the cracks and crevices with an art brush, and then I used the Belle brush to kind of shadow it out a bit. And then here I'm just wiping it back with a lint-free cotton cloth. Subscribe to my channel for more videos, and all products are available at www.newcreationsbystacy.com.